are you familiar with the fact that there was recently a settlement with this little news company called Fox News?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That was for about $780 something million. Was it because they were lying about the elections?
Yes, it was for a...
Okay, there we go. I'm running out of time, so I'm going to keep going. There also was this article, because I don't want us to base anything on Georgia at all. Please, Jesus, not Georgia. Okay, because Georgia purged 87,000...
Will the gentlewoman yield? I think Georgia matters.
I will not yield. I am reclaiming my time. All right, so there were 87,000 people that were purged that were legitimate voters. So, no, we don't want to copy off of Georgia. Also, another GOP voter admits he committed fraud. Another one in Pennsylvania, man who admits he voted for Trump with his dead mom's name because he listened.
What unfolds in Congress when bold claims collide with hard evidence? Chaos follows. That's exactly what happened during a live broadcast when Representative Jasmine Crockett flatly rejected accusations from Marjorie Taylor Greene. Today's breakdown revisits the exchange that raced across the internet. Crockett didn't just fire back with a quick remark. She delivered a sharp, constitution-based rebuttal that stopped the room cold. By calling out Republican contradictions on voter fraud and dismantling myths about ballot boxes and so-called votes from the dead, she turned the hearing into a fast-paced civics lesson. Greene was clearly caught off guard.
Has expired. The gentlelady from the state of Georgia, Ms. Greene, is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to remind everyone that Georgia's votes matter, and everyone should care about each state in the United States of America and voter rights. And I would also like to remind everyone that in order to buy a gun, you have to have a valid ID. That's required. Just like voters should have a valid ID. Talking about the state of Georgia in the 2020 election, my ex-husband showed up to vote for President Trump, myself, and other candidates that he wanted to support. And when he showed up to vote, he was told that he had already voted by absentee ballot.
This wasn't just political spectacle, so get ready. It was a powerful lesson in shutting down false claims with facts, history, and relentless precision. Republicans bristled when Jasmine Crockett held up a mirror what I calling bare GOP election myths. While some on the right kept chanting fraud like it was a national anthem, Crockett calmly brought out the evidence. Start with Fox News, which agreed to a $787 million settlement after spreading false claims about Dominion voting machines. That wasn't cable news theatrics or background noise, it was a courtroom finding that confirmed those stories were untrue. Crockett didn't stop there. She went straight at the ongoing media push that insists widespread voter fraud is real. One example often raised fell apart quickly. A Trump supporter in Pennsylvania who cast a ballot using his own mother's name. That's not proof of a massive scheme, it's a single act.
And he said, no, that's not true. I haven't voted by absentee ballot. As a matter of fact, I didn't even request an absentee ballot. And they said, well, Mr. Greene, it shows right here on the Secretary of State website that you've already voted by absentee ballot. And he said, well, that's not true. I haven't voted. I would like to vote here in person. That's what I'm doing. And so they made him sign a form surrendering a ballot that he never requested and never voted on so that he could vote in person. And he was deeply troubled by this. He was upset by it. But what bothered him even more is there was a whole line of voters there that day that were doing the same thing.
That only proves wrongdoing happens when someone commits it, not when millions vote legally. Then she turned to Georgia. Crockett pointed out that nearly 87,000 eligible voters were removed from the rolls. These weren't criminals or tricksters. They were qualified citizens who suddenly lost their chance to vote. So when Republicans raise their voices about election fraud, Crockett offers a simple challenge. Are you talking about the wrongdoing you accuse others of, or the actions happening on your watch? This wasn't a flashy comeback. It was a sharp examination of election integrity framed through the lens of hypocrisy. Let's slow this down and spell it out. Marjorie Taylor Greene approaches this issue with a firm point of view. To her, it's not just campaign messaging or partisan noise. She argues that the system itself is malfunctioning.
we carried on, and he had to go through quite a lengthy legal process to find out what happened, and he still hasn't found out why someone was able to vote with an absentee ballot in his name. He also never found out what happened to that absentee ballot, if it was thrown out, and who they voted for. You see, there are problems in our elections, and it's important to remember. We saw many of them in the 2020 election. We saw suitcases pulled out from tables, suitcases of ballots. And then here we just saw in the news that a Postal Service releases final report. Contract driver Jesse Morgan vindicated because he had been trying to say that he hauled a trailer of ballots from New York to Pennsylvania in late October 2020. These things matter.
As proof, Greene points to a situation involving her ex-husband, who was reportedly told he had already voted even though he hadn't in her mind. That wasn't personal drama, it was a warning sign. Greene claims moments like that show how lawful voters can get caught in errors they didn't create. She insists absentee ballots are especially at risk. From there, she ties her concerns to what she calls overlooked warning signs, the Georgia ballot suitcases.
And Democrats know they matter too, because in 2019, Democrat Senators Klobuchar, Warner, Reed, and Peters had all wrote a letter of how concerned they were because intelligence agents were saying that elections were in danger of being hacked by foreign nationals or foreign countries because election machines could be hacked. Now, I think that's problematic, and I think everyone can agree that we don't want foreign countries or foreigners meddling in our elections. And so my question would be, if this is such a deep concern, Ms. Weiser, Ms. Evans, Mr. Spies, Mr. Cuccinelli, one by one, could you say yes or no if you agree that we don't want foreign actors meddling in our elections? Ms. Weiser.
Accusations from postal worker Jesse Morgan about ballots crossing state lines, and even past comments from Democrats in 2019 who raised alarms about election security. Greene pushes back hard against the idea that these concerns amount to wild speculation. She frames it as selective outrage. Her question is simple: if doubts about elections were once acceptable, why are they now dismissed? While others avoid the topic, she cast herself as the one willing to ask uncomfortable questions. In Greene's telling, fraud claims aren't the real issue. The real problem, she argues, is that election integrity only seems to matter when it supports the Democratic storyline. Do you see what this really comes down to? For Jasmine Crockett, this fight goes far beyond ballots and procedure. She says it's about the soul of the country. When she speaks, she isn't making things up on the spot. She's grounding her argument in history. The Constitution doesn't restrict voting rights, it expands them. That growth is spelled out through 6 amendments: the 14th, 15th, 17th, 19th, 24th, and 26th. Each one reflects progress earned through resistance, sacrifice.
Talk about it. So I hail from the great state of Texas, and what's interesting to me is we always want to talk about privileges and compare what is required for a privilege versus comparing what is required for a constitutionally protected right under our federal constitution. And it's interesting that in this chamber we love to talk about the Second Amendment and we want to make sure that everyone has guns, and we only have one amendment in our Constitution that deals with guns, and it's the Second Amendment. And Professor Weiser, you were just about to say we have multiple provisions, so you were messing up my test a little bit. So I'm not going to let you answer the question. I'm going to go down here to these experts. Let's start and go the other way. Do we know how many amendments actually address voting in our Constitution?
Well, it depends how you count them, but you could say 3, 5th,
Okay.
14th, 15th.
Okay.
And real pain, that's why Crockett points to moments like Bloody Sunday, the women's suffrage movement, and the Voting Rights Act. These aren't casual references. They are reminders of how hard people fought to be heard. She argues that in today's world, voter suppression rarely looks blunt or obvious. Instead, it's been refined. Policies like strict voter ID rules, voter roll cleanups, and so-called security efforts often hit the hardest at poor communities.
Mr. Spees?
Plus the DC amendment.
And maybe first.
Yeah.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Okay, Professor, go ahead and break it down.
I believe it's 6.
There we go. There we go. So we got the 14th, we got the 15th, 17th. Wait a minute, did I mess up? 19th, 24th, and 26th. There we go. All right, so we have 6 amendments.
23rd.
And every time we dealt with an amendment dealing with voting, we were expanding upon access. Is that not correct?
That is correct. That is the history of this country.
Okay, the history is to expand, but obviously there are some folk that want to rewrite history and make sure we go back in time. So let's also talk a little bit more about history for a couple of seconds. There was this little thing called the Voting Rights Act. Are you familiar?
Young voters and people of color. According to Crockett, the struggle for voting rights never ended, it simply changed form. She believes laws that make voting harder don't protect democracy. They contradict it. Her message leaves little room for confusion. If this country truly believes in democratic values, voting rights must be expanded, protected, and treated as untouchable. They cannot be quietly chipped away through fear or suspicion. Thanks for being part of this conversation. If this breakdown brought clarity or gave you something new to think about, hit the like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more sharp analysis and straight talk. I'll see you next time.